Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. You know, it's been a while since I have kicked off an episode in the driver's seat, so why not? You know, Quest mode activated today. Welcome back to another episode. This is Cactus Quest. I am your host, Hunter. Still, it's 2024. Let's go, baby. Anyway, so today we're gonna go do what I know all of you love, a greenhouse tour. And this is kind of to me, sort of a special greenhouse tour. It's a buddy of mine.
What's going on, guys? Mike Cherman here with Market.
Who's been like a kind of a real supporter of Cactus Quest and of me, and he's got a really cool collection. For those of you that are subscribed and been watching the videos, he's got the same greenhouse that Baker Sucks has, except he's got a larger version of it. And definitely, he's got some Astros in there, but he's got a much wider variety. And he's not really a grower, he's a collector. So he's gonna have a lot of cool staged, potted up stuff. And I actually helped him move some of these plants over there recently. He did not have the greenhouse yet, so I'm excited to see this. I'm sure he's gonna have it put together quite nicely. This is what I do full time, right? So I make videos, I make pottery, I sell some plants, I grow some plants, I do all that stuff. I just dropped some shirts, I just dropped some hats. They are on cactusquest.com. I'm going to slowly this year begin releasing pottery on that site. I'm gonna slowly start releasing seedlings and some other special plants as well on that site. It would be great if you guys could go ahead and support by buying something that I've grown or created. It'd be awesome. I love it. Thank you to everybody that has. Or you know what, if you don't want to buy anything, if you want to support but you're not really feeling the designs or whatever, that's fine. I'm gonna drop my Venmo information, and you guys can just go ahead and send me a Venmo too if you would like to support that way, because there is certainly cost associated with these videos.
Whole out race, man. Whole out jumping jacks.
You know, so and I want to be able to continue making more content for you more consistently and doing bigger and better stuff, taking more trips, showing you collections that are a little further to get to. I mean, and so with your help, we can make this happen, and I'm just so grateful that I've been able to do this long. I was telling somebody recently, like, I would like to just be able to get to where I could do this for a living, and they're like, well, how long have you been doing it? And I realized, I was like, I've been doing it for like 4 years. So I guess that is doing it for a living, and it's pretty rad. It's pretty rad. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop into the video.
What's up, dude? What's going on?
Not too much. All right, let's check it out, dude.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, welcome to my humble abode.
Sweet. So this is like, you ended up going with this one.
Yeah, this is the Costco greenhouse, 8 feet by 9 feet. It's like a little bigger than my last one. I went straight to Amazon last time. It was like 6 feet by like maybe 5 feet tall. So like being in there, it was like hitting my head every now and then, constantly crouched over everything.
This is also nicer, like it looks a lot nicer.
Feels nicer, smells nicer. I don't know, I think like the cedar wood they use is just like super good. But yeah, I mean, just all around, be able to like stand, have like, I don't know, I put these little makeshift lights in here for now. Until I do something more proper, and just like, I don't know, it's been nice, man, just having a little space.
Yeah, for sure.
Even when it like torrentially poured in here, I basically just put like a chair, I sat in here for like an hour and just like watched the water just come down. It was sick.
The first rain in a greenhouse, I know it can be a little nerve-wracking. Like the last like kind of cheap Home Depot type of greenhouse that I set up, the first rain I went out there and I was like, oh my God, I had to like throw a plastic over the top, and then I ended up having to seal it once it stopped raining, and it was not good.
I mean, I was impatient because, they have the guys who come out and do it, but it was gonna take them 2 weeks to come out here. So I went on TaskRabbit, and the dudes who did it basically, like, I was thinking I was gonna get a deal, and then it ended up being like $300 more expensive to do it that way. And then like, I have to reseal the whole ceiling because it was just dripping through this whole thing. So luckily nothing got wet through that, but this place was a little humid, so I had to like bust the fan out. And start,
for sure.
But
have you had any issues with like fungicide or like having to do anything like that?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, it is a new space, so like, I'm still interested to see kind of what happens now with this new space and just seeing what it does to affect the plants. But I'm just trying to be smart and not go too crazy right away. I mean, getting into this space, I think everything was already pretty well watered, and was trying not to put too much moisture into the environment in here.
Nice. And so then you went with the DG for the ground, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know it kind of holds a lot of moisture, but at the same time, I just like the look of it.
I like the, yeah,
so
me too. The
you
look
already
and the
know.
sound, everything about
It feels like a whole like little experience. So I don't know. It's like the little things like that that I just had a little bit of fun with.
Got a bunch of little pots under here too.
Yeah,
all kinds of good stuff.
Prickly punk joints. Got I mean, so many. Got a bunch of Robert's pots. I got some of your stuff hiding back here.
Nice.
Yeah, man. There's so many. I mean, I've
Leo
definitely.
pot there too.
Yeah, I got a little Leo pot.
This is a Don Hunt pot too.
Yep. There's some Don Hunts.
For those that don't know, Don Hunt was she's a very well-known potter who sadly passed away not long ago. So to have some Don Hunt pots in the collection is pretty cool because you can't get any new ones.
Yeah, just like this guy, like good Don Hunt pot.
That's rad.
Classic. Great
It actually
players.
fits the plant perfectly too.
Exactly, and that's like to me some of the stuff that I learned when I was first getting into the game, and it was like I remember going to Robert's house and seeing his whole Fokea collection, and like, you know, how adamant he was that everything needed to kind of match up, right?
Yeah.
You know, even like this guy, I think is one of yours.
Oh yeah.
You know, so stoked in there.
He's living life on it too. Oh, that's actually that's the one you did. Didn't you stage that?
I think
in
I
the
might have
video?
staged it, yeah, for like one of the PPA things.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So, yeah, but I don't know. It was the first time like meeting Robert and kind of seeing his whole collection, seeing the amount of Fokeas in his backyard, and like the level at which he had gone, and then also to like see stuff like this, and he's like, Michael, I'm not touching this for 5 years.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean 5 years? And just like the idea that, you know, under this is such a amazing, you know, thing, but if I touch it now, I could ruin it all. And not to say I'm going to destroy the plant, but like he made it a very big emphasis to me that like, you know, you keep it under the soil as long as you possibly can. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
when you're ready to go stage it like this, that's when I'll go do something bigger. You know?
And from my understanding too, with Fokeas especially, like it's like you kind of raise them up slowly.
Exactly.
You know?
So like over a couple of years, you'll start to continue to raise it up, and I don't know, just this whole like bucket method though was super interesting to me, and just like the idea that if you saw this in real life, that all you were seeing was this was always like my
Right.
favorite thing about the plant, and
Yeah.
just I don't know, I think that's what really got me into like the bonsai, into kind of staging, and not just keeping them into plastic pots, but also starting to get into like, you know, the next level of it all.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's the thing. Like I noticed you got some of the succulentous surface sand.
Oh yes.
And it's like he and I have very similar like mindsets when it comes to staging, like creating something that there you go.
This is not an advertorial. This is just our favorite guy in the cactus community who is just making some amazing habitat, you know, looking type of topsoil. And like, I don't know, I also just love anything Japanese. So like streetwear of me is like, you know, I got the SRL gloves, I got the succulentist. I'm just like, it's the same level of like fashion or streetwear just being applied to a new world, but without the pretentious nature that I think comes with maybe streetwear. You know?
For sure, some of it, you know.
There's
And
always going to be
that's
some of
actually-
it, but I also think that it's like, you know, I came into this game very much not knowing a lot. So it's been people like yourself, et cetera, who have been willing to teach me and to put me on, rather than, you know, kind of excluding people like ourselves who may not always know everything. You know, I definitely jumped 10 feet in really quickly.
2 more Don Hunt pots, dude.
I got the
Flexing over
Don,
here.
double Don, and I'm like literally stacking a Don Hunt on a Don Hunt.
The Shino Don Hunt stand. That's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, maybe a little sketchy, but we had to go for it. It felt like the perfect fit.
Yeah, I actually have one that's similar. It's a different type of pot, but it's got the kind of like the little like beast legs and all that.
Exactly. And it's just like, such the build of these are so beautiful, and I don't know, it's been like little things like that to discover over time that got me stoked.
You made it work.
Yeah, this thing fucking, it fell off of like a shelf, and like I was so bummed on this pot because I got one of the, you know, really awesome pots from Cactus Store when they did this collaboration for all the LoFo stuff, and so yeah, I had to salvage it. I mean, this is what it would look like normally, so being able to see this pot like that, I mean, yeah, super awesome.
That is rad. So
Exactly.
how long have you been into all of this?
It was probably like a couple months before pandemic. I had met Darren Romanelli through work, and Darren himself is just like, for lack of a better term, like addicted collector, you know, like whether it's art or, you know, objects or ceramics or, you know, plants. It was like something where when I went and saw his collection and just the breadth in different types,
Right.
that got me like just so interested. I had been collecting like rugs for so long and just like weird obscure art and just random tchotchkes that like this felt way more tangible and felt like something that I actually had to really care for. When I bought stuff over a long amount of time, like I could just accumulate a bunch of shit. But this was a different story. It felt like a different journey, and also like the different paths that you can go down. You know, for me, I think the first lore was like around this idea of Ariocarpus and just like the living rock. And this was probably one of the first plants I got from Molly at California Cactus Store. And like seeing the, the unique kind of growth to it, the kind of cauliflower look, like, everything to me, it looked like an alien species.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think when we did PPA and Ariocarpus CV brought this out, and like I saw this and I was like, the green on this is unlike anything that you see here. Like,
for sure.
There's something about, the plants that he's, curated and the ones that he's grown and, been able to put together, like it blew my mind. And so when I saw that, and then you just see growth like this, where it's like, one retusis is different than another retusis, or just like the way that they grow is so different. So I just got my mind blown. And I think once you realize that, you're just addicted for life, and it doesn't need to be that you're the #1 expert. I think there's just like a constant learning evolution with this, and
definitely
that's been the gift, all the way to like stuff like this, where Gary Lyons had passed away and his kids were basically selling his entire collection, and this was just like one of the old euphorbias sitting in the backyard that was like in a dilapidated, plastic pot, and I just kind of threw it in another pot just to let it grow back again, and now it's starting to get that growth back, and all you saw before was just a little tip of green. And so it's just like, even seeing this, some people would probably like be like, oh, just toss it, it doesn't, it's not like what I think is beautiful.
It's a trip though. So like you have like this, you're speaking of like Japan and stuff, like I've talked to a handful of people that they collect obesas, and they only want obesas that have this on the side, the corking, because then what it does, it gives the top kind of a star shape.
Exactly.
And they call this good wood.
Yes.
They're like, I want the obesas with the good wood. I'm like,
exactly.
Dude. So it is definitely it's definitely unique. And it's funny too, talking about art.
This is one of those things that I think is it's got little Easter eggs in here, like this is when I got a C- on my typography test at Parsons School of Design in New York. And it's really ironic just knowing that I'm a graphic designer now and I work with type and I do all of this stuff, and like, how probably like likely I was to fail at this point.
Dude, that is awesome.
To like, like the when I'm 100 years old, like this is literally the thing that every kid does in like preschool, kindergarten. It's just funny, like, when I am a jock, I will be in the baseball Hall of Fame, the football Hall of Fame, the soccer Hall of Fame. I will be a wealthy man. My kids will have kids, and they will have kids, and so on. These kids will be the best kids in the world. And when I almost die, I will tell my children I had a good life. Like, I'm just like,
dude, those are some legit goals, man.
But it's like funny when you look at stuff like that, and it's like, sure, it's very childish, but it's also like a funny reminder of the purity of life, and just like, believe in yourself, have fun.
Right.
The wealth will come from the family and everything else that you build,
Totally.
So super funny. But then got some cool like Daniel Johnston artwork before he passed away. This dude Liver Ideas, who did a whole series of Grateful Dead works.
That's right.
My girlfriend Ashley did this portrait, and then this artist Masaki Kawai. And yeah, got a bunch of other stuff that I'm stoked about, But to me, art has always kind of like been a little bit of that bridge, Naturally, as a graphic designer, I'm making art that's on t-shirts, but I think that the intangible of getting art that is created by someone that's one of one, that isn't like a special edition, there's something unique to that. And I think that we've talked about it in that plants are very similar to art, but are unforgiving in how you actually treat them or, take care of them. And I think with this stuff here, it's been, an honor to be able to like be around the art, but also I think with plants, it contextualized how I collect them and why I buy them.
Right.
I don't just buy it because it's going to be the biggest investment of my life. Like, I have to actually love it, And I think it's just interesting. Like, recently I got offered, an ability to buy a painting that is valued at a lot of money, but at a really low price. But I didn't like the painting. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I could buy this and I could own it, and I probably could make like 5x what I bought it for. But I knew that it was going to sit in my storage unit and not actually, be appreciated. And it's like, why should I own this thing that I'm never going to actually let the world see?
I've had people ask me, is this a good plant? They're coming up to the table to buy something, and they're like, is this a good one? And like, honestly, I just tell them, I'm like, I don't know what a good one is. Like, do you look at it and is it like satisfying to look at for you?
Yeah.
Do you like it? If you like it, then it's a good one. You know what I mean? I think sometimes people will get just like, oh, well, I have to have this one thing because this is one of the things that everybody that's collecting has, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing that I found to be interesting is like, you realize after a little bit of time, like, what are you buying the plants for?
Right.
Who are you buying them for? Are you buying them for the attention that you're going to get from other people for owning them?
Right.
Or are you buying them actually, like you said, because you think they're aesthetically beautiful, you know, that you want to invest into like exploring that genus and like exploring this world
right.
of each of the different types of cacti and succulents that you see. And like that took me a little time because at first, like you get a fat Aereo and all of a sudden people are responding crazy
right.
or a big chunky loaf and you're like, yo, dude, check this out. And you know, I mean, sure, there's a couple of times you get a grail plant or something beautiful. I mean, even this Gasteria sitting back here is a
right.
very beautiful Gasteria. But I think through this, I've learned that, yeah, it's actually the like learning about the plant, knowing about how to take care of them, everything that has humbled me and also made me appreciate the craft way more right. than just having a bunch of really cool plants. And that's the same thing with art. It's the same thing with clothes. You can have all the clothes in the world, but if you don't know how to just put on your own outfit, then you look silly. And I think that's the same thing when someone has like a wild collection of plants but doesn't know how to actually take care of them. And I can be critical of myself. I'm one of those people who ran 100 miles a minute and now I'm backtracking, trying to learn about how to take care of my plants and like calling people like yourself, etc. For sure. And I think, but that's the beauty of this world versus others is that right. like, you don't just deny me because of that or other people, you know, etc. People want to learn, want to share knowledge. And frankly, it's like it's a community of loving something outside of yourself.
For sure.
And the removal of that like self-ego is actually like when you start to make these real relationships and really appreciate the craft of collecting.
I'm right there with you. Like I have found, it's kind of, it sort of tripped me out because there's not a lot of things, and streetwear is definitely not one of them.
Yeah.
Where you can go, hey, I saw that you did this. Can you tell me how you did that? People are like, what? That's the secret sauce. You know, I can't give you that. But with the plants, I have found, for like the most part, most people have been more than willing to be generous with their information, their time. And I remember, speaking of getting in over your head with an Aereo, I had bought like a little Aereo, then I bought a grafted Aereo. Then I spent a few $100 on a larger Aereo, and dude, before I watered it the first time, it started to go south. Yeah. And I remember like, almost in a panic, like I felt like I was like trapped my kid in a hot car or something, you know what I mean? Yes. Like I was like, oh man, and I hit up a guy in Tucson, Alex, at Cactus Update on Instagram, and I was like, hey man, I know you, like I see that you're really good with your Aereos, like I just bought this big one, what's happening? And he's just like, you know, told me what to do. I tried to save it, it ended up dying, you know, but I think that's one of the other things is that like a piece of art, that's not gonna die. I mean, you could certainly destroy it by, you know, improperly caring for it or storing it or something like that, but the parallels are kind of like undeniable, really.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the beauty though of like when you get a plant that's been in someone's collection for 35 years, there's kind of a inability to price something like that, you know, because it's the years of care, attention, and love that has gotten that plant to that place.
Right.
And sometimes it's beyond just the money that you can spend to afford it. That's why when I see, you know, people like yourself getting plants through exchange or trade or things like that, it's because of the respect from one another that, hey, you're gonna take this plant and take care of it. Or so many people who like, hey, I can't have this plant right now. I need you to take this because you have more room.
Right.
And I see so many people taking care of other people's plants and
for sure.
all of that. And there's something interesting in that as well because it takes real work. It's a job. Like, and at the end of the day, it's like that community exchange will pay itself forward massive dividends.
100%.
And I've seen that year over year and just meeting people like yourself and recognizing, oh, this is like a real community. This isn't like streetwear where like no one says anything, no one wants to talk about how they did it and open up the door for the next guy.
Yes, there's an air of too coolness, you know, like,
yeah.
And it's not, but that you can get with some things in that kind of in that sphere. But yeah, I have not found it to be that with the plants.
No, and there always will be those characters. Comes with the territory, but I find the vast majority of people who I've met on Instagram, I mean, you know, even dudes like Charlie Sucks, who's just like, he loves Pokemon, he loves cactus, he loves, you know, all these things, but it's, you know, like a normal person wouldn't maybe bring up Charlie because it's not like 100,000 followers on Instagram or whatever, but like each of these people have their own, you know, kind of like character thing, like, you know, who they are, the music they play, the types of plants they collect, like, you know, him burning incense in the greenhouse and like that whole vibe, the way he pots stuff, puts his little Pokemon on things.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's like for me going on YouTube, and I'm really into tennis, and I follow these obscure tennis YouTubers who are not even that good. And to me, sometimes it's fun to watch that.
Right.
It's so much more relatable than like, I love Poot's, you know, nursery, but like it's hard for me to go watch him carrying these like massive specimens all the time when I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get there.
Right.
But like I can really relate to like the Charlies who like have really ramped up their collection over years, and like it feels still like it's like some backyard energy, but like taking it very seriously. You see Peter's plants and all these kind of guys. I mean, those are the most inviting, friendly, nice people that like I never met before. I mean, when I went Woody, and like how grateful Woody was when we threw PPA in the parking lot, and like I'm like, to me, Woody's like a celebrity plant god. Like, you know, in a way, like there's lore around him, and people talk about, you know, all the past, and sure, there's like, you know, all that stuff, and I'm like, man, it's so cool to like meet this kind of guy, and it feels like I'm meeting like John Mayer of plants, or like, you know, stuff like that. And I know there's plenty of other people out there, but I just use that reference as like people that I've met through this experience, and like, you know, it's just such a gift to like meet these like historians of this world that has almost been created out of hobby and for love of the game.
Looking at all of the different shapes, I think that's one of the things for me.
Yep.
The like a lot of these things are just so geometrically sound, and you could look at them and see it. It is art. It's
100%.
like, it's basically art that grows in the desert, and you're sort of making you really are like essentially making a commitment. Like it's not like a matchbook collection or a coin collection or something like that. Like these things grow with you.
Like a rat came into the greenhouse like probably 2 years ago now, ate part of this, and I just shoved a rock into it just to be like, what would happen, you know? And then you can see it literally like shrunk around the rock and like basically like swallowed it in.
It's part of it now.
And now it'll be part of that growth forever. But it's like those little things that I found, like that evolution makes it fun for me to come in here every day versus like having a book collection, which I'm like just looking at on my shelf all the time, you know, to like all these Astrophytums. And for me, it's like, you know, getting something like this, which is so beautiful, so textured, so amazing. But then like, you know, it's in the exact same family as this guy. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but like also it's an entirely different world. You know?
Well, I mean, and for maybe somebody that's been like, that's also collecting plants and that has been watching the channel for a while, you're like, oh yeah, for sure, you get what we're talking about. But to the uninitiated, like if you're sort of just checking this video out for the first time, like this right here is a true species. So you could actually go out into the desert of South Texas, northeastern Mexico, and you would see this. This is a star cactus, Astrophytum mysterious. Now, there is going to be absolutely nothing that you're going to see in the wild that's going to resemble what you're looking at here. This is actually also an Astrophytum, but this is a cultivated, it's essentially a cultivar, and these are coming out of Japan a lot of times. And you can see that this is actually a cultivated hybrid of selections of this type of Astrophytum here. So it is like endless, the possibilities. Like you think like if you could buy like a Basquiat and a Picasso and then somehow like put them in some special conditions, and then you would end up having like a painting that emerged from it that was like both of theirs. Yep. That's what growing cactus and succulents is kind of like.
And that's why I watch like the Mr. Basso dude on YouTube, and like you see that backyard where he's just got like all these evolutions, and then he's like, oh, I found this one hybrid, I had to get it so I can get the mother plant to be able to grow more. I'm just like, these guys are on a whole other level, you know? It's like sneakerheads are one thing, these guys are like in a whole other world.
Yeah,
so
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then the pottery is a whole nother, like it's a whole nother element to it. Like
yeah, and that's been, I think, the really fun thing is the pottery side, because like even when you come out here, you know, there's a lot of interesting stuff to like look at, you know, seeing even like some of the stuff that I've commissioned off Robert over the years. Yeah. Where I don't know what plant I thought I was gonna have. It was gonna fill this boy.
Oh, but, you got some, dude. They're just sitting in those plastic tubs waiting for the day. That's really what it is.
It's like stuff like this guy, like just monstrous, right? Yeah. But all the way down to like more of his like staging pots that I've always loved, where it's like stuff where it's really about like showcasing the plant. And so, I don't know, through this also I ended up kind of like really discovering a love for ceramics through the whole thing. And it's been pretty interesting because I think I'll take you back into the greenhouse, because one of my like most interesting plants is this one that my girlfriend made. So this isn't the exact spines per se, but Ashley basically made this mellow cactus all by hand, fully ceramic.
It's cool because it really blends in. This sculpture is modeled after a mellow cactus, and I mean, just kind of walking around this space, you can see that we have kind of quite a collection of like succulents and cacti.
Right.
And so one day I just saw a cacti that was losing its life, kind of on its way out, and so I had this idea, a light bulb went off, where I just figured I would repurpose the spines and kind of give this cacti that had passed away, this cactus, like a second life, so to speak.
That's
and
rad.
yeah, putting it in sculptural form.
Yeah, I
so.
had no idea. Like, it's impressive either way, but like, it's really rad that they're real spines.
Yeah, so
I was
you
like, man, that was
definitely-
meticulous. So to make all those little tiny, they gotta be so delicate, but this is like awesome.
Yeah, you definitely have to handle it with gloves, because yeah, it's definitely
For
dangerous.
sure. That's rad.
I mean, pretty insane.
That's dope, dude.
And just like a, you know, it's a cool thing to look at. I mean, obviously, just insane art piece. And like, I think when she was creating this at the studio, people were just like mind blown. So it's just like, you know, something that she's been exploring from a whole series perspective, but more to come. But this guy kind of like blends into the, you know, to the setup in here.
With the triple cephalium. That's sick, dude.
Super fun.
So let's see. So do you? I mean, it's like you started with the Ariocarpus, and you've kind of like gone all over the place.
Exactly. I mean, you know, I think I ran before I walked a little bit. You know, getting stuff like this that is just like very phallic but beautiful.
It's like the international house of Ariocarpus right here. That's
Literally.
like a short stack.
Exactly,
Nice.
and just and then I kind of like spread my wings a little bit, try to get a bunch of smaller stuff that, you know, over time will grow and I'll kind of evolve with it.
These are nice.
I mean, yeah, I see stuff like that and I'm like, man, I can't wait to be here in like 10, 15 years when that's evolved.
What's that tag say? Is that Bicolor XBXD? I don't know. Dude, those are pretty plants right there.
Yeah, really, really beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, and then just a bunch of, you know, like some of these are very random. Like again, like I know this is like a very ugly plant, but like it's a gymno that was sitting in the back of Gary's house that just was like shoved in a corner that I still need to repot. Like some of this stuff is like over time, or like you gave me this guy, which is still, you know, beginning to really grow. And I mean, you're even getting like interesting growth right there.
You get some nice flowers on that guy too.
Exactly, and so, you know, it's been a fun journey because I think even in the Fokea world, when you start to see them staged a little bit, I mean, this is not by far my best staging, and this plant just broke, but you know, it's like the little rock setup. Super beautiful.
Most definitely, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's looking good in here, man. It's looking good in here.
Absolutely.
Is there any are there any particular plants that you have your eye on right now that you've been looking for out there in the?
You know, I think that when I saw your Dickia videos, I think once I see them pruned, I think at first I was kind of like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then once I saw you really pruning them back and showing like, not the caudex, but whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, like the trunk. I guess trunk.
Yeah,
I
the
mean, they
trunk
sort of
it.
end up having a
It felt
trunk.
funny to call it a trunk.
Yeah.
But seeing that, it was beautiful. I mean, for me, it's like obviously these adeniums, when they're, you know, full bloom, full pink, everything, it's nuts. And just to see how they trained it, you can almost just see like over years of training these roots to grow this way.
So this is
This
like where
stuff-
they do. I think like these come from Thailand, right?
Yep.
They get these when they're young. I think they put like a jar cap or something like that underneath there, and then they just replant it, and that's how
Yep.
it grows over it.
It's insane.
So crazy.
Really cool to see. Just like, I mean, anytime someone comes in the greenhouse, they're always just asking questions about this. This was definitely one of the first rare plants that I had bought off Molly at California Cactus Store. I mean, this one as well. Like,
Dude,
still one of my more
this
prized.
This thing is nuts too.
Yeah, I had like I had to cut part of it because I walked in here to like a rat eating part of this.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing. So I've now
you might
been
need to get
eradicating the rat.
Have you been doing anything like to get rid of the rats?
Yeah, I have a dude who comes by here like once a week. His name's
Okay.
Orlando, and he's called the Pest Ranger. And
Pest Ranger?
He just comes and tries to take them out, and he always sends me like a sick report. But
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
It's one of the weird things that I always kind of struggle with because I you know, obviously I love plants. I love animals. But man, like, you know, gophers and rats.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know,
not one of my loves.
I have some ethical conflictions on that.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you know, I think outside of that, it's like some of the stuff that I was, you know, talking about before, like the Gary Lyons, like euphorbias from his house. These were all from the front yard that he had. These were literally plants that
Did you dig these out at the front yard?
Yeah, I literally dug them
nice.
out. John Gale helped me dig these out at his house, and just honestly, man, like some beautiful like specimens. Even this guy, I was always stoked to be able to get this into the collection. And like,
Do you know which one this is?
You know, I like right now I wouldn't be able to tell you off top.
Unbelievable, dude. These are,
Yeah.
I love these things. So are you planning on sticking a lot of this stuff in the ground?
Yeah, the idea is to put this in the ground. I mean, this agave like is waiting to be, you know, put in the ground. This thing is chunky as hell.
Yeah.
It's cool when it starts to open up in the summers too.
You need some like heavy machinery to get.
Yeah, I
to
mean, even
move a
watch
lot
out
of
for
these
this,
things.
but like, you know, I put this here just like setting it down one day, and like, look at this guy. It's so sick, but it's fully like just grown into this.
Dude, am I tripping? Is this? Look at this.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
pad
it's
is
a
like
triple.
It's like a triangle.
Yeah,
pad.
it's a triple like triangle, kind of like almost like weird crest, and then it went back out. So
That's crazy.
super cool.
That's one. I like that. I think that's a super pretty.
I know.
Oh,
Part of
dude,
me is
this
like,
is a Neobux Bombia.
yes. And this one was also from his yard, just sitting there.
Dude, I'm getting flashbacks to Oaxaca right now.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. This thing I need to get into the ground. And then otherwise, it's you know, a bunch of the you know, Fokeas don't get as much love. They probably deserve more.
You know what's great about these though is like, look at this, man.
Yeah.
For somebody that wants to get like a nice fat looking caudiciform, like these
Yeah.
are actually relatively accessible. Definitely, maybe not a big giant one like that.
Exactly.
But-
But then you know, you find stuff like this that honestly, if you go to the right place, you might be able to find a steal for one of these where it's just tucked away and someone's forgotten about it, or you know, it's sitting in the corner. But yeah, I love these, and I'm just like, I can't wait to pop these open.
I've got a handful of little ones that I got buried growing on. We'll see how they end up getting.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like Christmas though. You get these things and you
Oh, yeah.
unpot them and hit them with a hose, and you're like, holy
Yeah,
hell.
because even like, it's just like the weird growth of this is like so awesome, and the way it sits right here, I'm just like, I'm so hyped to be able to actually stage these guys and get them up.
And when you stage something like this too, just so for anybody out there, you don't have to plant it exactly the same way. So like he could actually plant it where it's tilted this way in the pot.
Exactly.
You know,
and
or,
that
or
was,
have it going up.
and that
But
was
I
a
think-
cool thing I saw Robert do a lot, was like seeing all of his weird Fokeas in the back. Like there's actually one up here that he did.
If you don't know who we're talking about, I did a video with him. So if you want to go check Robert's collection out and see what we're talking about, you can click the link up here.
Yeah, and so you can see kind of like this guy where he, you know, threw the rock, kind of had it all staged up. It's kind of leaning onto it, and
Yeah.
like, you know, as much as possible, it's gonna look like natural is really the goal.
This is rad too.
Yeah,
Holy
this
hell.
thing like fully almost died, and then it's back to life. But like, this is kind of stuff that I appreciate. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
I'd rather have this, and this thing has obviously just been sitting in like a corner for a minute, just like this guy, which like again, I thought it was fully corked and probably not going to grow again, and it just started coming back out.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. I think like this right here though,
Yep.
like one of the things where I became like a devout plant person,
Yeah.
it was with a particular mammillaria that I had, and it had been knocked over and buried upside down with some of the roots exposed. And when I finally, like it had been left like that for months, when I finally went to look at it again, it had like noticeably gotten bigger. And I think just like seeing how like this thing can take that and just heal itself up and
Yep.
keep on chugging is,
It's the resiliency, you know, and that's what I think makes these things special. And it's like, yeah, you can see, you know, these guys in the yard somewhere. I mean, this is actually a Huntington, you know,
oh yeah,
yeah. So this is, what you call it?
inermis.
Yep.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's
So
why you can
this
see
is
like
from-
it's all Gary Lyons' collection that he had at his house that was just sitting in like, you know, basically dilapidated because it was years before, after he had passed it, like really these plants were taken care of. So
Wow, this has got to be old. I mean, like the thought of putting the exact, I mean, practically the exact locality
Yeah.
on a plant tag that are for sale would seem ludicrous today.
yeah,
But that is, that's cool, Veracruz.
it's pretty cool.
That's,
Yeah,
that's rad, man.
exactly.
Beautiful little plant.
Yeah, man. Got a bunch of random stuff that I'm excited to put in the ground hopefully soon. And then up here, I think is like the fun other euphorbia that was from the PPA thing. I had literally just like thrown it into a bag.
Oh yeah,
And this bag is just like
That's right.
deteriorating, but you know, you got all these little pups coming down here. It's like still doing well in this thing. And like, I've been pretty amazed that it's like just rocking, because like back here, the whole bag is just blown out. you
Well, it's
know?
got good breathability, you know?
Exactly, I say that. So it's taking all the rain and like
Good drainage. Well, sweet, bro.
yeah, dude.
Fucking thank you for
Thank you, man.
making this happen.
I know
The
it's one
greenhouse
of the
looks great.
smaller ones, but
Nah,
we
man.
had
I
to-
mean, you know, like it's not about. I just like showing. You know, I think one of the things is. Like,
Peace.